few moments for others to join us. So make yourself comfortable and take this time to settle into your space and grab a couple extra minutes of rest and relaxation. Welcome to the January R&R session. Just going to wait another minute for others to join us, give them time to wrap up. But if you want to put in the chat how you're feeling a couple of days into the new year, feel free to put that in. Let us know how you're doing or where you're joining us from. We're glad you're here. It's always fun to see familiar face names, I should say. So we're really glad that you all made the time to join us today. And I'll go ahead and get started. So my name is Shelly Maxwell, and I'm a EAP counselor with the Ascension, Wisconsin EAP program. I'm based in Oshkosh, so I see clients here in the Oshkosh office, and I also teach yoga. I've been practicing yoga for over 25 years and teaching for about 6 now. I really enjoy it, and it's been a joy to be able to share these R&R sessions each month. So since we started, we've been using the same Zoom link, and I just wanted to let you all know that Jen and I are going to have to be switching platforms in a couple of months. So come March, we're going to be using a different Zoom link, and we'll have that info in February. We'll be sure to share it with you and send out some extra emails with that new link. But I just wanted to give you a heads up that we'll be using this link for next month, February, but March, it'll be a different one. But we're going to keep it the same so that you can just save that into your calendar and make it really easy to access. And I mentioned Jen. Jen is my colleague. She's based up in Menasha in Wisconsin, and she's my co-pilot. She's the one manning the chat and recording our session today. So you can find our pre-recorded or previously recorded sessions on the Ascension Wisconsin EAP YouTube channel. And we have the entire playlist there. So if you like what you saw today, or if there's a month where you can't join us, know that you can access them. We usually get them up by the end of the week. And for EAP, just a reminder that if you have access to this, you also have access to free counseling that your employer pays for. And it's for you and any direct family member under your roof, regardless of whether they take your health insurance. EAP is separate from health insurance. Both is a benefit, but also financially. You never see a bill when you're working for us or working with us. The employer doesn't even know who's using it, and the company, they just get a quarterly report of numbers. So the number of employees using it, the number of dependents, the number of spouses or domestic partners. So if that's something that you've been thinking of with your New Year reflections, that you'd like to learn a new skill or process some things, give us a call. And I include our contact info at the end of our time together. So when I was thinking about today, I've been thinking a lot about darkness. I don't know if anybody else can relate, but with the Wisconsin weather being so mild, I'm used to the mornings being a little bit brighter, but they've stayed really darker than what I remember from previous winter solstice times. And sometimes that darkness um, can bring a lot of can conjure up a lot of narratives. So, right, we put meaning to things, and we have to be really selective on the meaning we put to things. And sometimes that means revisiting the narratives, right? So, darkness. What are some meanings that in the past for you have been put to darkness? Like, is it bad, dangerous, depressed, or has someone exposed you to the meaning of darkness that could maybe be different, like restful or like hibernating, permission to rest and unplug a little bit, especially after the frenetic holiday season. And a lot of times we sometimes overvalue light and think, well, it always has to be light, or it's only in lightness that we can function. I know I certainly think more clearly on the brighter days. So the cloudy days that we've been having, I have to dig a little bit deeper to keep myself really focused and tuned in, or alert, I should say. So, because one of the components in cognitive behavioral therapy, right, when you're reevaluating the thoughts that come through your mind or the beliefs, in the Socratic method, like the fourth question is, does this thought or belief promote a sense of well-being or peace? Okay, and after practicing this for 20 years, for me, a lot of times if I have a thought that creates some distress within me, like I might notice my mood dips, I might notice some anxiety, and I'll say, ooh, what was that thought? What was that belief? What meaning have I ascribed there? And is that promoting my sense of peace or well-being, right? And so that doesn't mean we have to only have Pollyanna thoughts. And that's what I mean by the darkness. There's been dark days, figuratively and literally, the darkness of the global events that have been playing out, and thinking about how citizens in those affected areas of war and terror were celebrating their holidays, and thinking about how that was so different from how I was probably celebrating my holidays. And then how do I give myself permission to still celebrate? And where I landed at was what we share amongst most of the religious traditions this time of year is celebrating the light. But we're not talking about the light of the sun necessarily. We are, right? But there's that inner light. And like Mr. Rogers said, in times of crisis, look for the helpers. And so for you, what might be some helpful meaning that you could ascribe to darkness and to light? Because we need the balance. And the moon actually symbolizes that, right? We have the phases of the moon, we have the phases of the seasons. This time of year in yoga, practices. It's a time of slowing down, hibernation, rest. And that's a big benefit to darkness is it just helps us to slow down and rest because the summer, the light season is super active. So I invite you to think about maybe darkness and light, see if there's some shifting that might be beneficial to you in the meaning you ascribe to it. Not overvaluing one, not vilifying another, kind of coming to the middle. And even if it means you're just being neutral to it, it is what it is. Darkness is darkness, light is light, right? And thinking about these twilight days, what type of rest do you need in the next month or two? What type of reflection do you find yourself doing lately? What has your mind been going to when you see on the news or, we're just kind of programmed in this new year time to reflect, but also it's very intuitive. Like that's the gift of the darkness to really say, is this still working for us? Is this really the way we want to keep moving forward? And ask yourself, what does that look like? What does moving forward, what would be the outcome for you in that? Right? Like, because that's going to help guide you in staying aligned with whatever you put energy towards, whatever goals you set, right? The intentions for what? And so for me this year, it's about tending to my inner light. And that has been bringing me so much solace that I might not have control anywhere else. Well, I don't have control anywhere else. I do inside me and my inner light, my energy, what I bring to situations, right? What I offer when I'm meeting with clients or when I'm with my family, my colleagues. So let's take some time to think about holding that light. And in Eastern traditions, so in India, in yoga, that inner fire, let's say, just like the sun, that inner fire is located just between the lower heart center and the belly, almost around the sternum area. Now, in Chinese practices, it's down in more towards the reproductive organs, the lower abdomen. And we're going to do a little bit of work today during our seated stretching or chair yoga to stoke that inner fire in both regions. Okay. But I invite you to close your eyes, get real settled into your seat, and find a, a new level of stillness within yourself. Maybe what is tensing still? What are you holding or gripping? And can you release a little bit deeper into the chair, into your space? If you're feeling safe, go ahead and close your eyes gently. So the interesting thing about those chakra centers or those areas is like in yoga, we would say that at that space and in Manipura, that's where we digest. Okay, so the belly is digesting the food, but it's also the area where we digest our feelings, we digest our experiences. And another way we could think of digesting is reflecting, reevaluating. So it's really appropriate that during this time of darkness, we go inward and we be really conscious of what we've been digesting physically, emotionally, spiritually, psychologically. And so feel yourself anchoring a little bit deeper into your space through the feet, through the sits bones and the hips. The shoulders become heavy in a good way, right? A heaviness in the shoulders of, oh, I don't have to hold myself up. I can just be. Letting the back of the skull relax, letting the mind deepen and get heavy Just let it slink off to the back of your skull. Relax the crown of the head. And notice a wave of light and warmth maybe come over you from your head. And just imagine it coming down over the face, the back of the head, the neck, the front of the throat, the sides, the back of the neck, the shoulders, the collarbones, the scapula, the shoulder blades, and let that light just bathe you. And be aware that that light is not external to you, it is within you. That light is always with you. And it's just whether we choose to engage with it, connect with it, develop it, right? Be aware of those things that have been diminishing your light. And we can feel it. We can feel when we're around somebody who is diminishing to us, right? And it's not like we need to tell them they're wrong for diminishing us. You know, we might have to set a boundary. It depends on how vulnerable we can be with them. But minimally, it's about, ooh, okay, I need to protect my light. I need to let my light shine. Where do I need to place myself where my light can shine? Good. So with that, let's ground a little bit deeper and bring that light down through our hips and our pelvis. It's really interesting, the hips, there's a lot of nerve endings that meet around the psoas. You know, it attaches, there's a lot of connections at our diaphragm and in our hips. And if you've been around people who say we hold a lot of emotion in our hips, that's partly it. You've got a lot of muscles and tendons and nerves in a very compressed area. And the belief is that whatever the nerves are carrying, it gets communicated to the muscles. And so take some deeper breaths here to really soften that whole area in the lower back, the hip area, the pelvis area, even the upper thighs. And just be grateful for all the holding that area does for you. But making sure that it's not overcompensating or taking on too much. And then let that light come down through the legs, down through the knees, the lower legs, and the feet. And then we're going to engage our diaphragm and use some diaphragmatic breathing, which for you returners, I hope this is your normal now. It's a little bit awkward if we are undoing the paradoxical breathing or the reverse breathing. So what can be helpful to think about is on your exhale, hugging that navel center in. And so that way the diaphragm gets to push the lungs up into the rib cage, that bony structure, to expel the air out. And then when you want to inhale, just release that effort and let the belly balloon. You're going to notice the side ribs expanding. And when you come to the top of that inhale, then exhale, hug that navel center in, really engage those abdominals gently, softly, not too forcefully, and see how far you can go with the exhale. You're going to notice that diaphragm pulling up into the ribs and then out. And if you don't have a cold right now or any congestion, it's most beneficial to be breathing through your nose. So again, the next time you're ready to exhale, engage those abdominals. And then on your inhale. And so what we typically say is you let the breath initiate the movement. So even though I'm cueing, it doesn't mean you have to do the movement exactly as I'm saying it. Move with your own natural rhythm. This is how you tune into your light, is listening to that area, following your own breath. There you go. And as you breathe, notice those areas that were filled with light, and bring the breath into those areas, especially to those areas that you noticed were a little bit tighter than normal, or hold it, you know, if you're challenged to release or bring the light in. And then as you bring the breath, maybe imagine that breath is balancing that light. Notice how the light can be warming and the breath can be cooling at times. Good. And then let's start to move into our chair yoga time. So I'm going to scoot back so that you all can see. And let's see, here we go. Right. And I'd like you to bring your hands together at your palms, and then the pinky finger and the thumb come together. The fingers are spread wide, the other three fingers. Now, this is a mudra, a hand position, but it represents the lotus, okay? And we're going to bring that hand down as close as you can towards the sternum. It's kind of owie to bring the thumbs close to the sternum. So it's okay to let them fan out in front of you a bit. And bring into that space between your palms anything that you've been realizing that you need for your journey into 2024. Maybe some things that were missing for you in 23. Maybe some things that have been diminishing you. And that you don't want, but then what's going to help your light to shine? That's what we want to focus on, right? Is what do you want to bring in? And once you have an idea of that, and maybe it'll come to you as we move through the stretches. So no need to stress if it doesn't come to you right away. We're going to lift our fingertips up towards the sky. So the palms stay as much together as possible. And then on your exhale, fan the arms out, the palms face the ceiling. And then bending the elbows, bring the palms together, find your lotus, and raise the arms up on the inhale. Exhale, open. Palms are open to receive. Once again, bring the heels of the hands together, come into your lotus, reach up on the inhale, and as it's time for you to exhale, really engage those the lower abdominals, let the sits bones anchor, and bend the elbows and come into kind of goddess arms, and let your heart shine. You're squeezing this space between your shoulder blades. Then inhale, I just adjusted myself. Inhale, exhale. So if you hear any popping or cricking or distance, that's okay. We're just bringing those arms up, and on the exhale, squeezing those elbows into the side to really give a nice upper back stretch. We're going to inhale one more time. And exhale, we're going to twist to the left. The left hand can come to the outside of the right thigh or knee. And we're just going to bring the chin towards that left shoulder. The right shoulder is going to come forward. So I'm trying to almost line up my shoulders into a single line. Hug that navel center in. On your inhale, reverse from the twist, reach the arms up. And on the exhale, twist to the right. The left hand comes either between the thighs or to the outside of that right knee, right outer thigh. Chin comes towards the shoulder. And inhale, bring those arms back up. Exhale into goddess. And then bring the palms together back at heart center. And point the fingers forward. Reach forward and open up. So we're doing a variation of cat-cow here. We're really arching the back or curving it. In cat, you're really hugging in the navel center. And on the inhale, you're opening up. The chin comes towards the sternum. You're squeezing that upper back between the shoulder blades. Do this a couple of times. Kind of like the breaststroke. Good. And then the hands come to the lap. And bring the heart forward. The chin reaches up towards the sky. Exhale into cat, round the back. Bring the shoulders forward, the chin comes towards the sternum. Do this a couple of times. And we're going to move a little bit faster here. So we're going to pick up with the breath. Inhaling, exhaling, and you're going to feel some warmth. This is a way to stoke that inner fire, that digestive system center. And then come back to center and side bend over to the right. That right hand can rest on the left thigh. Inhale, coming back to center, sweep the right arm up and over for a side bend to the left. Really root through that right hip and sits bone. Good. Coming back, and now we're just going to slinky over the lap. Let the torso rest over the thighs. And we're going to massage the knees, the lower legs, the shins and the calf muscles, the ankles. And then after you've had some time to massage, maybe hold opposite elbows and just drape over the thighs. You can also bring those elbows onto your desk like that and just let the forehead rest. You could also just rest your elbows, your upper arms on top of your thighs. And then from here, we're just going to sway back and forth. And then come back to center and take some time here to massage the back of your neck, the lower skull area, your shoulders. And slowly start to roll your way back out, coming back to sitting. And we're going to do some shoulder rolls. So one direction, then the opposite. And then coming back to center, engage your abdominals. Okay, root through the sits bones. And we're going to do some marching leg lifts. So you're going to lift the right leg, flex the foot, bring it down to the floor, and then switch. And we're going to do this at a pretty quick pace. So lift, 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 march, march. So now we're activating that lower abdominal area, and you're going to feel some warmth from here too, just like when we were doing the faster cat-cows. And this is stuff you can always do if you need to wake yourself up, kind of get the blood flowing, right? You can do these anytime. Good. Now bring the feet down and hug that right knee in. So you might clasp around the shin or behind the thigh. You could stay here, or you could cross that right leg over the left. And you might stay here holding the back of the thigh or around the shin and pull it in a little bit more. You could stay here, or you could find a way to wrap that left arm around the right knee and twist. So you're going to really engage the navel center here and breathe deeply. Releasing from the twist. Releasing from the knee hug, bring the foot down and switch sides. So hug that left knee in around the shin or behind the thigh. You could stay here and maybe come in, or you could cross legs. You could hug that knee in a little bit deeper, or even come into a twist, right? Wrapping that right arm around the knee. I'll scoot back and then coming into a twist. So you're going to want to feel grounded through that right foot and lifting through the crown of the head. Beautiful. Releasing from the twist, bringing both legs down. Good. All right. Now notice how you feel right now. What's your heart rate? What's your body temperature? Where would you say you can feel that light within you or that energy? Good. So I'm going to share with you a closing poem, and it's entitled Closing Chapter. A friend of mine sent this to me on New Year's Day. She's a fellow yoga instructor, and I thought it was really appropriate to share with you all. So feel free to keep your eyes closed if you wish. I take a moment to inhale and breathe in all the blessings, the lessons, the wisdom, and the miracles I witnessed this past year. I exhale and let go of all the energies, emotions, thoughts, and beliefs that I will be leaving behind in the new year. I step into my divine power, my vision, my strengths, and my potential. And I close this chapter to give birth to a new journey of abundance, love, peace, and all that is good for my soul. Breathing in abundance, love, peace, everything that's good for your light. And I encourage you to keep reflecting. It's not like it ends this week, it's just a constant checking in that we can do for ourselves in a way of continuing to understand ourselves better and witness how we evolve. So for those of you collecting wellness points with your employer, the key word for today is shine. And our contact information is located in the lower left-hand corner, our phone number, our email address. And then if you want to look us up on YouTube, just search up Ascension, Wisconsin EAP. You could even do R&R and it'll bring up the playlist. Jen has done a wonderful job organizing all that. So with that, I wish you all a wonderful beginning to this new year and this lovely time of darkness, and finding the balance between the darkness that's restorative and your inner light. And we hope you all can join us next month, the first Wednesday of February at noon. All right, thank you, everyone.